Hey, if you're going to be in PMHNP school, you are going to have to set some boundaries. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. Hey, there's no question that PMHNP school or any nurse practitioner program is going to have a lot of moving parts. If you're already in nurse practitioner school or PMHNP school, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. However, if you're thinking about it, this is going to be a great video for you too. So let me tell you what I mean by setting boundaries. Hey, sorry, I had to move this back inside in the regular place. I was out for a walk. We have a wind advisory here. It was just too windy and a lot of noise. So boundaries, that's what we're talking about here. Let me put this in context. When you start PMHNP school, or as you know, if you're in PMHNP school, you're going to spend minimum 20 hours a week on your classes. Now that's in addition to working full-time if that's what you're doing. It's in addition to family obligations, errands that you have to run, so on and so forth. And if you don't establish some boundaries right away, then you're going to miss assignments. You're not going to learn what you need to learn. Things are going to get misplaced. You're just not going to be able to make it work for you. So let me talk about the boundaries that I've tried to set. And there's really three areas that I want to talk about here. There are mental/emotional boundaries, there are physical boundaries, and there are time boundaries. Now, let me explain a little bit further. Let's talk about emotional and mental boundaries first. When you're in PMHNP school, you are always thinking about the next assignment. You're always wondering, have I learned what I need to learn for the next exam? Will I have the time to get this assignment done to the extent that the instructor wants me to? I mean, these things are always going through your mind. And if you're working full-time, then you know that you've got that on your mind too, about your next shift coming up and the things that happen during the shift. And then you got to do that mental decompression after your shift. So all those things are on your mind. So you've got to set up some boundaries so that you don't get totally drained emotionally and mentally. Now, two things that I'm going to tell you to do that are going to make a world of difference, and they are super easy to do, that give you some boundaries so that you've got the expanse to fill emotionally and mentally. Number one is get off social media, or at least severely cut it back to maybe 15, 20 minutes a day at the most. About 2 years ago, I just left social media. Other than LinkedIn, it's the only account I have left. And it has made a world of difference emotionally and mentally. I heard a comedian a few years ago talk about the iPhone. And he said, with this device, imagine if I went back in time and I had this device and I could tell a person that with this device, I can access almost all of the knowledge that was ever created since the beginning of time. And I use it to watch videos about cats and get in fights with people I don't even know. Now, that is a great description of a lot of social media. So, number one, get off social media. Number two is quit watching the news. There is nothing good on the news. There is nothing that is going to lift you up and recharge you on the news. If you want to scan some headlines, maybe that's it. But don't spend, an hour sitting in front of a news channel taking all that stuff in. It's just not going to help you. So those are two very easy things you can do to set up an emotional and mental boundaries. The second kind of boundary I want to talk about is physical boundary. Now, at the beginning of this video, I told you, you might have noticed I was outside and I was doing a walk. You may already have some type of exercise or fitness routine. If you don't, I want to encourage you to get one going. You need a physical expression, a physical outlet when you're in PMHNP school. You need to have some form of physical exercise, whether it be walking, running, aerobics, yoga, weightlifting, whatever it is, at least 3 or 4 times a week. One, it's just smart, whether you're in school or not. But secondly, you need to have that release. You've got to decompress from all of these facts and figures that are just pouring into your head, and have some kind of physical outlet to release the stress and anxiety that builds up during PMHNP school. It's an important step to take. So what do? I either do some type of HIIT workout for 30 to 45 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. I'll go jogging. I'm fortunate here in my neighborhood. I have a fitness area that has some weight machines in it. We go do that. I mean, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you're doing something. Even if you're just stretching, you're taking your study time, carving it in half, and stretching for 15 or 20 minutes. Have some form of physical expression and create that boundary around it so that nothing can interfere with it. Let your family know that you need to have this physical outlet. It's going to make a huge difference in how charged up and enthusiastic you are to go and study and learn these things. And when you combine that with your emotional and mental boundaries, I mean, it's just that much more powerful. The third boundary I want to talk about is time. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you got to plan for 20 hours minimum a week that you're going to spend on your PMHNP studies. It might even be longer depending upon how heavy of a course load you have. And you have to put that time in. There's no shortcut. You have to pass the class. In my program, I have to maintain a B average to stay in the program. If I drop below that, I get one chance to repeat that course. The next time it rolls around, it could be a year before that course rolls around again. So you've got to put the time in to be effective. And that might mean cutting back on some work hours. I know that's not financially feasible for a lot of people, but you have to consider that. It also means you're going to have to talk to your family about uninterrupted time. And if you have to get away and go to the library at your school, that might be a thing to do. Or whatever you need to do, you have to carve out that time all week long, every day, to be effective and learn what you need to do. If you don't have the time to put into it, you're not going to be successful in your studies. So that's the 3 boundaries I wanted to tell you about: your emotional and mental boundary, your physical boundary, and your time boundary. Make sure you focus on those, and if you do, you'll be successful in PMHNP school. Hey, if you got a question about anything I'm talking about, please put it down below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Also, if you like what you're hearing, you want to know more, please click that subscribe button, click that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. Trying to do it once a week, but as I was just talking about, I've got to put some time boundaries in there and make sure I get my studies done. Thanks for joining me here. I hope to see you in the next video.